turning our attention back to Uvalde, Texas, where we're continuing to remember the 21 lives tragically taken a week ago. The tragedy has once again sparked a nationwide debate over gun laws and the Second Amendment. Joining us now for more is Texas Congressman, Air Force veteran, and member of the House Armed Services and Oversight Committees, Pat Fallon. Congressman, good morning to you. Great to have you back on.
Good morning, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing well. So a week later, a week removed from this tragedy, new details are emerging. We're starting to learn more about what happened here. Funerals are going to be happening all this week. And today, several senators are going to meet via Zoom to talk about a possible framework for a new bill that would address things like red flag laws, background checks, and mental health. Do you think something like this could actually pick up bipartisan support?
You know, Rob, I've been hearing a lot of politicians, particularly on the left, say that they need to do something. We need to do something. No, we need to do something that is effective. And the way to reduce these kinds of crimes, of course, we want to eliminate them altogether, and to make Americans safer, particularly our children, is to look at a few different things. First of all, we clearly have a deficit, an erosion, if you will, of the family unit and faith in this country. And the folks that commit these crimes, these monsters, are almost always loners. And it coincides with the rise of what I call anti-social media. So to brass tacks to your question, we need to harden schools, particularly elementary schools. And the best security is tiered security. We need one point of entry. And then even then, they're only in the office, and then they don't get buzzed into the actual school until they're identified and cleared. Secondly, we need school marshals. In Texas, we have a program. I sponsored it and supported it when I was in the Texas legislature, but only about 6% of the ISDs participate. So we need to free up with new legislation in Texas, and hopefully the other states will follow, to allow teachers to take the training to become school marshals on their own volition. They don't need their ISD to approve it. They just need to inform them.
And it seems like there's some bipartisan support even for something like that, because it's at least doing something. That is a first step. This is a massive, massive issue. There's no magic bullet, pun intended, not intended, but there's no magic bullet solution to this. Lee Zeldin, your colleague, who's running for the Republican nomination for governor in New York, said that every school in the state of New York should have one, maybe two armed security guards. Some schools don't have that right now, particularly schools with little kids. You'll typically see it in places like high schools. As we learn more about this shooting, what do you make of reports that the Uvalde Police Department didn't do more? They waited 78 minutes before this situation was brought to a resolution. And it wasn't a member of the Uvalde Police Department that ultimately took out the shooter. It was a member of the Border Patrol. What do you make of that?
Well, that's another part of the solution to doing something effective, Rob, is to change the doctrine of law enforcement. They have a different doctrine than our military. Our military is advance and secure, and then eliminate a threat. Whereas the police doctrine has been, because, over time, over the last 100 years, these shootings didn't happen when we were kids. And certainly not to the frequency that they do. So what we need to do is change the police doctrine, where if there's a threat to a school, you advance and eliminate the threat. Furthermore, by the way, Rob, I was on a city council 13 years ago.
Right.
And back then, our city, and it worked with the school district, in the entire, every school was wired, where we had on camera every classroom, every hallway, every inch of the school. And that really helps. And there was a command center as well, a mobile one and a stationary one, where if there was ever a threat like this, they would know exactly where the threat was. And the doctrine has to change to where the police go in and eliminate the threat immediately.
Congressman, you represent one of the biggest oil and gas states in our country, sadly not producing or flowing oil and gas like it once did, not that long ago, by the way. So President Biden's going to meet with the Fed chair today to talk about inflation and gas prices, which today are at another record high, $4.62 a gallon. Do you think these prices come down? And by the way, this would be in the Democrats' best interest to bring prices down before the midterms. Do you think they come down from where they are today over the summer?
Well, what Joe Biden has done, Rob, is proven that he can't get out of his own way. And, he ran as a moderate, and he's been nothing but a leftist ideologue. What we need to do, the first thing he did, I saw Senator Cruz saying this the other day, first thing Joe Biden did when he came into office was he killed the Keystone Pipeline. And they dragged their feet on letting liquefied natural gas exports go out.
Right.
And they weren't issuing any more permits on federal lands. What they have done is effectively declared war on our energy industry. And this is the one thing that sets us apart and is unique. Mike Pompeo was telling us when he would go and negotiate with foreign powers on other matters, he had a lot more latitude and negotiating room and power because of our energy, because it's something that everyone in the world wants and needs.
Yeah, that's a great point. Congressman Pat Fallon, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it. Good to see you. Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.